from Birmingham University. He'll be talking to us about the dispute at Birmingham University itself. Okay, Mike?
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me to speak, colleagues. So I'll start with a little bit of context, where our dispute comes from. The first thing I'd say, because some of the figures, particularly in local government context, might seem, like we might be being a bit reasonable, but first thing I'd say is our university is incredibly wealthy. They're sitting on liquid assets of close to £1 billion, make hundreds of millions of pounds of surplus, and as you'll see on some of the publicity we've handed around, our Vice-Chancellor takes home an eye-watering salary of 444.
One meeting, please.
Yes, it's just say, as as you'll see on some of our publicity, our Vice-Chancellor takes home an eye-watering salary of £444,000 a year, and is due to receive a bonus of £80,000 a year in a matter of weeks. And there are many senior managers at the university on close to that. While taking home that money, they've yet to pay us an above inflation pay rise since the last time we actually took strike action was in 2014. And I put that into a context of the higher education sector as a whole, where some higher education staff, it's been worked out, have lost around 20% of their salary in real terms since 2009, since the financial crash. So even though they're telling us the recovery is happening now, it definitely doesn't feel like that in higher education. So we've been pushing our university to finally pay us a fair pay rise to make up for lost ground for years now. Our university can well afford, for example, to become an accredited living wage employer. It would be no skin off their nose at all. It would be barely a rounding error on their budget sheet. It can afford to pay staff, above inflation pay rise, but every year they pay us, below the level of IPI inflation, and every year our staff see bills going up by more. So this year we finally decided we had enough. We worked together with our other unions. We put together a report which basically outlined all of the concerns we had about the working environment at the university. We also put in a pay claim that asked for proper real living wage accreditation, that asked for them to look at the pay spine, which had become so distorted by the years of real terms pay cuts. And we've asked them to look at the gender pay gap, because men are on average paid 20% more than women at university. And if you look at the university senior leadership team, it's overwhelmingly white, overwhelmingly male, overwhelmingly privileged. So that's what we put to the university. We asked them to negotiate, and we spent over 6 months trying to get the university to meet some of our demands. But they've been very evasive. They've maintained that if we want to get a fair pay settlement, we might have to consider terms and conditions changes as well, which to us is wholly inappropriate. And I have to say our trust in the university in general was very much eroded when last summer, so around this time last year, they also outsourced close to 40 staff to a wholly owned subsidiary company, and they openly told us that this was to cut pay and to cut terms and conditions in order to make more of a profit from running a hotel. So we gave them time. We didn't trust them very much at all, but we still gave them time. We still tried to do as much as we can through proper negotiations. But when we obviously couldn't achieve that, we moved to a formal strike ballot in March of this year. We got a very strong result in that. So we made the threshold, the Trade Union Act threshold, which we have to, of course, remember, colleagues, that was put in place very much because makes it hard for us to take action. We got a 51% turnout with an overwhelming majority for strike action, 79%. It was also at a time of the EU elections. It was a time when UNISON was running other elections. UNISON and NEC elections were running at the same time, and lots of our members were saying, we didn't know what that ballot was, so we were very proud of that turnout actually in the circumstances we did. So we made that turnout, and on the 28th of June, that's last Friday now, isn't it? It's all been a bit of a blur. We took our first day of action, which was incredibly well supported. We had people taking their first day of strike action. Had one person who joined the union, I think, only the day before, and she came out and she actually spoke on our picket line with an amazing speech about how she has to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. She doesn't get to sleep at all at the weekend because she's working her second job, and she can't see why the university, which makes so much money, can't afford to just give her a fair pay rise. So the position we're in at the moment is we think we had a big impact on the university. It was on their open day. We managed to close catering units. Entire shift of security staff walked out. So we had very senior managers on the gates of the university, opening and closing it for cars because they couldn't find any security staff to do it. We shut things in the library. We had a huge impact on campus. Had over around 250 people on the picket lines. It was an amazing atmosphere. We had people dancing. We had music. We had a tremendously fun rally at the end of the day. Lots of great speakers. And obviously, there's always a bit of a come down after that. So we've put an offer to the university. Come back to us with an improved offer. Undo your imposition of another below inflation pay rise in 2018. Undo that, and we can talk. We can suspend the rest of our action. Up until this point, though, they've refused to do that. They've still said, well, look, come and talk to us. The offer's still on the table to trade, terms and conditions for a pay rise. And if they maintain that in the next week, we'll be taking another 2 days of action on the 16th and 17th of July, which is what our members' meetings just today voted on. So the next week is going to be using those 2 days of action to put pressure on them, asking our members to tell us more of these stories that got so much of an emotional response on the picket line, and just really try and push the university to come sit round at the table with us and finally give us a fair deal. And I mean, any support you folks could give us would be really appreciated. There should be a model motion with you that gives some of the context of what we're after, also includes details of how to send us messages of support, and if you could spare donations, that would be greatly appreciated as well. A lot of our members, like I've said, the hourly rate, they are above the real living wage at the moment. They work credit, they're above it, but you have to remember that's also in the context of the fact that some of our members only work 3 hours a day, because they have to go to their next job, usually taking 2 buses. So to be frank, what we need to do really to get our lowest paid members to strike, to get the cleaners and catering staff to strike, is we have to pay them hardship payments. So any donations your branches or committees can spare to our dispute would be really appreciated. If you have any questions about it, there's so much more I could say about it, you can probably tell. Please feel free to grab me afterwards or give me a ring. My number's on the motion. But yeah, really thanks for your time and consideration.